Well, I just come up from Brighton today, and it's a beautiful day outside, and alighted at Imperial Wharf. And I've never heard of it, but it's in a very nice area of London, you know what I mean? And about 40 odd years ago, when I worked at the BBC, we were often given tickets to go and see, which was on a Thursday afternoon, or recording earlier, unless it was a live transmission, Top of the Pops. And all those years ago, a certain song went to #1. And I haven't seen him in 40 odd years, but he's invited us into his home for this Marc and Chums. And it's Stephen Grant from Bucks Fizz.
How very dare you.
I just did that as a joke. From Tight Fit. We've been talking about Bucks Fizz. In those days at Top of the Pops, which was normally recorded at Television Centre, either depending on how many bands were going in, would either be done at TC1, which is Television Centre 1, which is a huge studio, which still is there even today, or TC8, which is a smaller studio.
That's right, yes, and it was quite daunting for me, I think, because I'd grown up watching Top of the Pops, you know, as like we all did at that time and during those years. I grew up watching that show. So very daunting to suddenly be there and be on the show and see how the whole thing worked, and I found it quite a little bit intimidating, just because I at that point I wasn't very secure in myself, and I had very bad kind of stage fright and nerves. I used to get terribly nervous every time we had to do it, particularly if there was a live one, because occasionally they would do a live show going out. But most of them were pre-recorded during the afternoon, and then the show in the evenings. And originally I had been told, basically by the record company, this is what you're wearing, and they handed me this piece of chamois leather. Basically, it was like something you clean the car with.
You basically look like Gandhi.
And they gave me this piece of chamois leather. Like, oh my god, what the hell is that? So you've got to wear it. It's your loincloth. This is your costume. So I'm like, oh my god, I really do not want to be half naked on Top of the Pops in front of everybody. You know, you're very, at that age, you're quite...
Well, you were 21,
and you're quite...
You just got the key to the door.
Exactly, and you're quite, you know, you're very insecure about yourself and your body at that age. Well, I was anyway, and I really didn't want to wear it. But also, I thought, I've got to keep the record company happy. First time on the show, I wore the loincloth for rehearsals, and Michael Hull came down and said, "I'm sorry, that's far too revealing. You'll have to go and change." So I ran off to wardrobe and found a string vest and a pair of trousers.
Yeah, I know that. Michael Hull, of course, was the editor, the
director of the whole show, the big boss.
And what he said.
Exactly.
And if not, you wouldn't be appearing back on Top of the Pops.
No, exactly. Whatever he said went, because you had to do.
Yeah, I remember, because you had. I saw the second because when we became #1. What happened then about your loincloth?
So then I came on. We were #1. I came down onto the stage and was just wearing my string vest and the usual outfit that I had been wearing for the previous episodes. And Michael Hull came down and said, "Okay, you're #1 now. It's time to wear the loincloth." And my heart just sank. So the record company had to run off and find it somewhere. I don't know. It was in a home for loincloths somewhere out in the ether. But they found it and came back with it, and then I wore it for that episode. And I think because we've been number one at that point, we've been number one for 2 weeks already.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks. We were number one.
And we were, and I wore it. That's right. I wore it for the third week. We were number one, and the record company thought it was going to give them more sales, and that it would
because you end up you take your bra off.
Yeah, because we'd already had 3 weeks. They thought that's it. You know, we're never going to have another.
I have to say, Stephen, love you as I do. You with that old vest on, it makes you look like Albert Steptoe.
I looked about
like he was just about to get into a bath,
but
you know.
Also, I looked a little bit like Rapsy Nesbitt.
It was very much that time, wasn't it? You know, remember him, Rapsy Nesbitt? I will tell you, I haven't good, I don't know, like that. Here's the fucking word he was saying.
My inspiration. But so the record company made me wear it, and I wore it, and then the record dropped the next week. It wasn't number one anymore.
Do you think that's the fact that you actually were wearing the loincloth?
And I put it down to the fact that I had to wear it. Yeah, that's what I take.
Well, I have to say, because, you know, after 40 years of game, what happened was we became chums on Facebook. Facebook can be a very dangerous place, but it's a wonderful place if you want to catch up with old friends. And we only met for the briefest possible moment back in those days. I think it was 81, wasn't it?
82.
81, 82.
Yeah.
Well, you were 22 by then. You'd lost the key to the door by then, didn't you? And I have to be honest with you, being homosexual irretrievably, an awful lot of my friends at the time, when it came down to tight fit, it was one of those get him off type thing. Because very happy, still is, look how gorgeous this man. We're the same age. I now look like Albert Steptoe, and he looks like he did.
Rapsy Nesbitt's uncle.
Do you think so? I tell you what, Steve, you've got more fucking hair than I've got. Look at this. And you had lovely black, luscious locks.
Yeah.
Were they black?
Yeah, ish.
Ish. Did you dye it?
Might have been a bit of henna there somewhere.
Bit of hair. And sitting there with a little bit of hair there and all that, down to this loincloth. Well, I remember in the makeup women and all that, which were all, one or two quite matronly types, if you remember, just fell in love with them.
Well,
as a lot of people now, I think half the camera crew who were queer as Nine Bob Notes also did as well. But it was that's how we and I first met, and it's now taken us 41 years.
41 years.
Although we've been friends on Facebook for ages.
Yeah, we chat on Facebook and all that. But yeah.
And I sort of say to myself, because I wasn't going to do any more Mark and Chums, and that man ever persuaded me, oh, come on, let's do some more. And they are good fun to do. I hope you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
You're only had one glass of Mount, but
there's more to come.
There's more to come. And the fact is, this. Talking about such things of the history, like of Top of the Pops, stuff like that, how the old regime under the BBC, like Michael Hurl and all that stuff, and what it was really like. You know, these days, the amount of business that goes into the creation and to keep, an act alive, if you just can't.
It's very, very.
All the old ones are all coming back and just repeating.
Yeah.
Not saying that you're the old one. you still go out there, don't you?
Yeah. We still. I mean, it's still Julie and Denise and I, the two original girls, and so we do 80s shows and parties. We did somebody's 70th birthday party last weekend.
Did you take the loincloth?
The loincloth is in the retirement home for loincloths.
The day you left, I fell apart. Not sure just where to start. Trying to heal my broken heart.
But the coldest, darkest nights all have an end. And even broken.
So no,
I think these days you don't wear it. If I've seen photographs of you recently with the ladies, you're wearing a black sort of t-shirt.
We're still kind
best
of
type,
on a
not
theme,
string.
Yeah. No,
not string.
No, we're on a theme.
You're quite in black, aren't you?
Yeah, we wear a lot of black.
Hence today, can you see?
I'm very honoured. I'm very honoured.
Well, the fact is, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning it, you have eyesight problems. and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
yeah.
when I actually showed this to Stephen, he had to take a close look, and suddenly it dawned on him that I'm in a faux leopard.
It's quite
Okay.
the thing. I think
I thought I had to come
need
in-
to find out where you got this from. It's so
This
fabulous.
came from a friend who used to have all the most avant-garde jackets. Have a nice Stephen. I think we've gone through most of them, but he had about 500 jackets,
Wow.
all complete. I've got gold ones, I've got silver ones, and all that. But today I thought.
That's the
I mean,
one.
and we know the lion actually is in the plains and lives up trees. He's not in the jungle. But at the end of the day, I thought, well, I haven't got a lion, and I'm not going to sit here with a mane. I'm not in this weather and all that to come here like that. So that I could do a bit of a mane. But look,
That's very glamorous, I have to say. You look like you're
That can- that
ready.
feel of that-
You're ready for the stage. Oh my
well,
god!
just call me actress. But the other thing is about doing this show today is you've got other things coming up, and you've got you do release more records.
Yeah.
What,
So
new stuff or
well, so we did an album. The last album we did was in 2016, and that was mainly covers. Just because we kind of made it ourselves. We recorded most of the tracks ourselves.
Where did you
we got them
record?
produced. That album we recorded in South London in glamorous Streatham, and
nothing wrong with Streatham.
nothing wrong with Streatham.
Very posh now.
Used to live there. It was Sunreatham, very nice. So yeah, we did that one. It was mainly covers. Now we signed an album deal with a different label, and this album is all new material. So we're recording songs. This is the first album we've done since '82 that's all new material.
Do you prefer CDs or vinyl?
I haven't got a record player, but I love vinyl.
It's coming back.
I know. I've still got.
Have you got a
my
record
vinyl.
player? That's Stephen, the director. Look, I've got records, but no fucking can't play it on anything.
I know. No, I'm the same. I've
But
got
don't
a
you
covered
like,
with
I
them.
prefer it when you
Yeah,
put the thing
yeah,
on,
yeah,
you can hear, it's still hear that.
When you actually get something
And there's
physical
something
in
more
your
real
hand.
in that. But
Yeah.
I found when CDs came out, and I don't know about, because I know because we had cassettes, didn't we?
Cassettes.
Before
8-track.
that, 8-track. Cool.
Oh my God,
Great big
showing
thing
our
like that.
Showing our ages.
Looked like a loaf of bread. And all that, and there was all in varying qualities. But then the CD came out and everything became too perfect.
Yeah, very, very clean. But I mean, I still have CDs, I still have vinyl, and in fact, this album we're making, I think will come out on vinyl as well. So I might have to
that's the way to
get
go.
a record player because I haven't got one.
Have a look up Amazon and you probably get one cheap. Might even have a cassette machine.
Do they take batteries? Do you have to put three A's in
Do you
there?
remember those great big things with the two doodads on the top? Those great big box ones like that.
Yeah.
Or were they
yeah,
for torches?
Yeah. In fact, my mother had one. It was like a sideboard. You had a record
my
on
mum,
one end.
she called it the Grundig because it was made by Grundig.
There you go. You see,
of furniture.
A sideboard was a whole piece of furniture with a record player in one end of it and speakers at the front.
Yeah, that's it. It was a Grundig. It was a lovely piece though, which you got from Harrods.
Beautiful, walnut.
That's that sort of thing. You got it over there, and it had 16,
Yeah.
33 at the side,
33
45, and a 78.
Right. Yeah, and
You could actually
put them on
music-
together.
Yeah, you could have that, but you could actually, because I did Doctor Who years ago.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing is, I thought, I wonder what the Doctor Who theme sounds like backwards, and because it was such a good machine, you could actually make it go backwards. You know, I was doing my, what do they call
Some of our
that?
tracks
Doing
sound better backwards than they do forwards.
I wonder what Last Sleeps Tonight is like.
It's probably much prettier backwards than it is forwards.
So when's these other bits? So the 2016 one
That was
is out.
That one came out with a label.
How do
called-
people get it if they want it?
So it's available to download. Don't ask me, but it's I don't know how that
You
works.
need to get paid for it.
well,
Don't you get
download.
the MCPS? and all that sort of-
It's something like 0.001p per download, something crazy like that. So that's available.
You'd have an awful lot of those to get a whole
online.
Malbec, wouldn't you?
You'd have to sell quite a few to get this quality Malbec.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, we're on the Malbec. Curtis, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Have to be careful because with your eyesight, we don't all over your glass lamp, do we?
See,
You know.
this surface seen better days, so don't worry about
I've got one like that at home too. Today, the drink of today is Malbec, which is Argentinian, and it's rather delicious, isn't it?
it. Gorgeous, really.
And we got that from your local Tesco's, you know, the one down there.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yeah,
Nice
good.
big. The Tesco's Express is quite a big one, isn't it?
Quality Tesco down there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right, so these days, of course, the whole element of changing the way that musicians, the craft, all the media and delivery has changed so much from when you know, I mean, you're one of very few people who actually ever got to number one.
Yeah.
A lot of people try and try
Yeah.
and never ever.
Yeah.
You know, probably one or two people, so albeit it was a cover version of somebody else's
Yeah,
song,
yeah,
but your version actually really hit home to the hearts of the nation and all that. How did it go abroad?
We had quite a lot of success with it around Europe. We did lots of TV shows all over Europe. It wasn't such a big hit in America. We had a hit in
Well, you only have your loincloth on. You know what they're funny about that sort of
they're a little bit touchy about it. So we had a hit in Canada, we had a hit in Australia, but because we had a video, we didn't go to every sort of region, but we did lots of TV shows. In fact, we did, oh my god, we did Top Up in Amsterdam, in Holland. And when we got to the studio, it's like Top of the Pops, you know, it's their version. They had a bloody lion in a cage in the studio.
Oh.
This poor bloody lion.
Was it like Clarence the Cross-eyed Lion?
Yes.
Did,
I swear to God, they brought this poor lion into the audience.
I'm not a T-bone inside.
And just in a cage, in a tiny cage.
Where did they get it? Did they get it from the zoo?
I don't know. They got it from the local circus. Or,
are you scared of lions?
I'm not scared, but it just felt so wrong.
But they can be a bit nippy as well.
Well, it was just horrible to see this poor animal in a cage.
And what was it, in Amsterdam?
Yeah, in Holland.
Down the Amst?
Yeah, so, but you know, we did lots of TV shows. We did Musikladen, which is the German version of Top of the Pops, and all like those kind of shows all over Europe.
Well, that particular song lent itself very well to Europe because
Yeah.
Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps
Can you tell us the history of the Lion Sleeps Tonight? I mean, you've done so many other things, but I have to talk about it because you're number one. Where did it originally come from?
So it started, that song, I think started in, I don't know all of the history, but it was written by a South African guy whose family, in fact, weren't getting any royalties from it because there was some
other
legal
people had taken
issues.
it on.
Other people had recorded it, and his family went to court and fought for him to get the royalties from that song, and I think it was settled about 20 years ago, and now his family get royalties, and quite rightly from writing that song.
Or you know, even when you're singing.
Yeah. So it was written by this guy, and then lots of other people have recorded it over the years. I think the Tokens had a hit with it, Carl Denver had a hit with it, and it's been used obviously in Disney for The Lion King. Mm-hmm. So it's in lots of people. I mean, even kids now know it.
Who was the only one who got it to number one?
Well, probably, I don't know if the Tokens or Carl Denver did as well. They might have done, but
you'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
But, I don't do my research. But looking down the list, you know, because you're on Wikipedia, whatever that thing's called, and all that.
Yeah.
You're still with the two ladies that you started Type Fit with all those years ago.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing is, you're still back because you sort of left it after a bit, didn't you?
Yes, yes, that's right. No, after the group kind of finished, I had a deal with for a while with.
And the ladies
with,
did it.
They did their own things. Denise had a group with her brother. Julie had a band as well, and I had a deal with Rocket Records, with Elton's label, and did a song with PWL with Stock Aitken Waterman, and worked with Gonski B. And but then it kind of just fizzled out, and I thought, oh, this is it. I'm 26 now. I'm too old for all this. I need to go back to my roots and do what I need to do. So
what were the roots, if I may ask? Then?
So
you did a bit of modelling, didn't you?
No, so it always says that. Former male model Steve Grant. I was not Britain's Next Top Model. I did it for about 6 months to pay, just to get some money in.
Bloody gorgeous, I tell you. You know what?
I just did it for a short time, just to get.
You're tall, then. How tall are you?
I'm 6'3", so and because I've been a dancer, so when I started out, at a young age, I started going to stage school probably when I was about 10. So the local stage school near my parents, and I did tap and ballet and everything. My parents couldn't afford to pay for me to go. The school liked me and thought I was a good dancer, so they used to give me free classes all week. I used to go every day, and my parents paid for one class. So I loved it. I went for, like I said, from the age of 10 until 16. I went to that local stage school, and then they kind of pushed me in a certain direction I shouldn't really have gone in. But they pushed me towards the classical side of what I've been doing, because I've been doing ballet. So I went to Rambert Ballet School in London. I had a full grant. I came to I went to school in Notting Hill Gate. So again, everything was back in those days so different. Not like now, when you have to pay it all back at the end of your studies.
Disgraceful.
I had it all paid for, and even my train fares from Kent to London every day.
Train fare?
Yeah,
Where in Kent?
So I'm from Gillingham in Medway.
I used to live in Chatham.
Oh, really? Well,
we all came from Whitstable.
there you go. Yeah,
Bloody Whitstable.
Well, I've still got family in Chatham.
Have you really?
Yeah. My uncle.
Oh, that's old, right?
My uncle lives in Chatham.
Yeah, well, all my family are dead apart from one cousin in Whitstable. Mum's passed away, Auntie Margaret's passed away, and all of that. And I've got one of my friends is Faye Ripley, the actress. She's got a nice place down there, and I wish Dad had kept. He lives in Colchester now. I wish he had kept a place down there, because they're worth bloody millions.
No, my brother still lives in Gillingham, and so I go down to see him. But my parents have passed away now, but I do go back there. And
Small world, isn't it?
And I'm a big Gillingham FC supporter. That's my club.
Can I show off here? My father was one of the board of Gillingham.
No! Oh my God! I'm so in awe now.
He's 94 now.
That's amazing. Can you please tell him from me that
he actually helped to keep it afloat, because it was going through some shitty times. Because he had the Whitstable Sports Centre.
Yeah.
Right. So they did windsurfing, water skiing. He was a champion water skier like Dad. I mean, he's only about 4'2", isn't he?
Wow.
You've never seen him, have you? You'd be surprised.
Wow.
And I was adopted, so I'm the taller one. He was, well, how can he be your father? I'll do fucking well, work it out, your arseholes. But he did all of that, and he loves his football, still does. And my brother, Adam's second marriage, because Valerie and I were adopted, they love, and his boys love football. I can't bear it, because I've always lovingly said it was the noise, because he was a referee back in the day.
Yeah.
It's the noise. When we were young, I didn't like the noise.
Right, okay.
And I could never. When I became homosexual, irretrievably.
Yes. No looking back.
No looking back. I said, I can never understand what the fascination is 22 men kicking a bladder around a field for the express reason of getting into a net. Mind you, the same 22 men are never shower.
There you go. See, that's a reason right there.
So, but he then, because he had the sports centre and he was well off, he had lots of money. He put a lot of money into Gillingham.
Right. Oh, right.
And I used to have to go up and watch these bloody people kick.
My dad took me to my first game when I was about 10. So I've been a fan.
That'd be 1970.
Yes, in 1970, probably around 1970. And I got hooked at a very young age, although I was terrible at football.
We were probably at the same stage.
Yeah.
Football ground at the same time.
How amazing! My last
Small world.
So I still follow, even though it's difficult for me to watch now because I can't see the bloody ball. But I still love. I'm still a fan. So please give your dad my regards. And
I'll say to, if I said to him tight fit and in the whatever, he wouldn't have the, because my family, bless them, and this has come up on my shows before, hasn't it, everyone? My stepmother, who she all of them, no, not so much my brother, I love my brother, the rest of them really not keen. My sister Valerie, they're not keen, and they think anything to do with the theatre or film, television, acting, casting, which I was a casting director and agent for a long time, or doing management, it's all showing off.
Right.
My husband, who I love, said to me when we first got married, because I wasn't acting at the time, said, why don't you go back to acting? When he found out there was no money in it, he said, why don't you go and do something more sensible? Fucking bastard. And I said, you told me to go back to it. And he said, oh, well, there's surely something else, because I trained as a nurse and all that shit. So, I've got a few strings to be whatever. I'm going to find the bloody arrows into some people's necks. The fact is that he said to me that, and I said, but you love the cinema, Alejandro. It's Costa Rican, by the way. You love the cinema. And if we didn't have actors, you'd be looking at a blank screen.
Well, we need entertainment.
Eating popcorn on your own.
Those are the most important things that take us away from where we're...
Like in the Second World War, they closed all the cinemas and theatres and had to reopen them because it was going to cause a riot. You need to have that sort of thing.
You really need that. It takes
Isn't that amazing that your favourite football club was on the ball?
Can you believe that? That's
so I can believe it. It is what I call serendipity.
Yeah. So back to the thing. I was at Rambert.
The Rambert,
I was at the Rambert.
You can fit this in, can you?
doing my classes there, and at the end of my, I was supposed to be there for 3 years. At the beginning of my third year, somebody came to watch class from London Festival Ballet, and they needed somebody for the company, and they asked me to go and join. So I joined. It's called English National Ballet now, but at that time it was called London Festival Ballet. So 18, I joined the company, and we went on tour. I joined.
Terribly tall.
I'm quite. Yeah, but that was one of the reasons.
You have to be tall.
Yeah, one of the reasons I got that job is because that was a company that was known to have tall dancers, because it was run by.
Put it this way, the shortest one was Wayne Sleep.
Wayne Sleep was very tiny. He was
his miniature version.
He was a very, very tiny dancer, but he could do all the tricks, and he was a brilliant dancer.
Still with us.
Still doing well. But I was not ever going to be Baryshnikov, but I was good enough to get into the company. But I was never going to be a soloist or a principal. So, and I realised that very quickly. In fact, it was probably one of the most unhappy times of my life, because I realised, like I said, within the first year that things were not going to progress for me, and I was probably going to just stay in the corps. So my dad had been a singer in local amateur dramatics, and in his career had kind of not gone in that direction because he had a family and he was a carpenter. I come from a very working class background, and my mum's a housewife. And so, I'd always wanted to do a bit of everything, a bit of singing, a bit of dancing, a bit of acting, not just do dancing. So I started taking singing lessons, and then I had an audition for. I left the ballet company and just did a bit of modelling, just for 6 months to tide me over into.
Bit of the old wonga.
Yeah, just to get some money in.
That's a very Chattanese Gillingham expression, wonga, by the way.
if you've never heard it before. So I just did a bit of modelling, and then I had started taking singing lessons, and I had an audition. I got an agent, got an audition for a musical, which is this is what I want to do. This is now I'm kind of understanding what I want to be, what I want to do. Had this audition for a show called Best of the Whorehouse in Texas, which was coming from Broadway to London, and went to the audition. Tommy Tune, who'd had a big hit on Broadway with Twiggy, was the choreographer of the show, and I went to the audition. He liked me. He's like 6'7" in probably more than that, but massive,
And that's
absolutely
that's
massive.
not in heels either. Can you imagine?
Yeah, he's absolutely huge. Always came into class in a full-length fur coat and cowboy boots, taking rehearsals. I remember it so vividly, even though it was like 43 years ago now, 42 years ago. So I did that show in 1981, and I was the tap dancing boy in the show and got to sing as well, got to do everything. And it was a big eye-opener for me, because I thought, this is it now, this is what I want to do. And then I had some, the show only ran for about 6 months, because it wasn't a big hit in London. Then they made the film with Dolly Parton, and it kind of opened my eyes to another avenue that I might want to take part in, and be and explore more, because I'd enjoyed it a lot. I'd enjoyed being in the show. Although it hadn't been a massive success, it was at Drury Lane, and it was a big production. So I carried on with the singing lessons. I had an audition for Evita, and I got the audition again just for the chorus, but I couldn't do it because I had they wanted me to start the next week, and I couldn't do it because I had a modelling job already booked in, so I couldn't do it. But that was kind of good in a way, because a few weeks later I had an audition for Tight Fit, and in the Evita job I wouldn't have been able to do that exactly. So
it's what I always call the sliding door principle,
exactly.
as you know, because people get so upset, don't they, Stephen?
When you don't.
It's the why not me?
Yeah.
And all that. I even used to have clients back in those days and say, well, why? Because I was a casting director too. They would say to me, well, you should have cast me in it. I'm one of your class. I said, no. I said, as a casting director, I have also a reputation. I don't need one of those reputations. Well, I've got that reputation as well. But the fact is, I have got to be in a situation where I am absolutely convinced that person, whoever I cast, whether it be out of my own stable or somebody else's stable, has to be right. Yeah. So it's not, trying to do the nepotism situation. The person's got to be right. So I used to say that, well, happy accident, that didn't work, then you move on to something.
Yeah, and you kind of think, you're disappointed you didn't get that, but in the end it worked out.
And ended up with a number one.
It ended up for a good reason, because I had the audition for and in fact, all of us, Julie, Denise and I, had never worked together before, but we'd all been with the same agency for theatre work. And we had, and our agent was called Tommy Tucker, who was a lovely.
You couldn't write it.
Lovely Tommy Tucker, who was a lovely South African man who
good Arrested Development.
He was an ex-dancer, and he got everybody from the agency. Basically, the record company came to the agency, and they took everybody, all the boys of a certain age, from the agency, went to the audition on Tottenham Court Road. I think it was in a church in Tottenham Court Road. So we went along, and everybody sang one after the other, and they kind of whittled it down. It was a bit like mix and match. By the end, I had to go away and then come back at the end of the day, and they whittled it down to, I think, about 3 girls and 3 boys, and then they whittled it down to 2 boys, and the last 2 boys were myself and Denise's brother, who was also a theatre boy who'd been in lots of shows, and he's a really nice guy. And so it was between the 2 of us, and then they chose Julie and Denise, and then they chose myself. And I think the only reason that they didn't give it to Paul, Denise's brother, is because they didn't want
That sort of family.
They didn't want a family group. They didn't want somebody who was going to be united. They wanted people who.
Well, it wasn't going to be the Von Trapps, dear, was it? Let's be honest with that.
Yes, no Von Trapps, but so I think that was a kind of a fortunate thing for me that I wasn't related to it.
It's a happy accident.
Yeah, again, so I think that's the only reason.
Because
why
if you'd stayed on and done Evita or something like that, you may have been stuck doing chorus for the
yeah,
rest of your life.
and nothing else might have
and then
come
nothing
along.
would have
Yeah. So it was
nothing
great.
would have,
it was very fortunate. I was in the right place at the right time. It was one of those things that just luck just kind of looked down on me and just said, "This is your
Luck's a lovely
turn."
lady, isn't it, when it smiles on you?
Yeah. I was very, very, very lucky. More that was more of it than any kind of talent. But you know, I from there, it kind of all took off from that point on. That was to kind of end of '81, and then like February '82, we were kind of rehearsing and going on Top of the Pops, and it happened very, very quickly. So you know, and then we had the other hit with Fantasy Island and traveling all over doing videos. We did the next video was for Secret Heart, which wasn't such a massive hit, but I still like that song, and we went to Venice to film the video for that. And then it kind of all went wrong because the record company sacked the girls, and it was just such a horrible time. They replaced the girls from the group with two other girls and kept me on, but the two other girls were very nice, very lovely girls, but weren't great singers. So
you'd already built a rapport with the other two. That is what I don't understand. Who are these wankers of these places have to decide?
The record company were very, very controlling and horrible, basically. Not very, very nice people. They made a lot of money out of us, and we were kind of exploited, but in a way that, you know, they made you feel very grateful. They wanted you to be grateful that you were getting the opportunity to be exploited.
On the word exploitation, we're going to come back in a moment. Well, here we are again, back. I've just been out for a ciggy and all that, as I've just said, and we're back with the wonderful Stephen Grant of Type It.
I love to be here with you, enjoying the Malbec. It's
We're
beautiful.
enjoying the Malbec, our Argentinian little drop.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a lovely little flavour to it, isn't it?
It's got
And the fact, I've got a long
nice
glass, you see, because Stephen has problems with his eyesight. He didn't want to knock.
Yes.
I mean, this is a beautiful glass.
Yes, I'm liable to knock it over if I got one of those. So this has got a nice flat bottom.
Speak for yourself. No, but I have to be honest with you. I've knocked a few of these over.
Yeah, in my time.
Yeah. So we are interested in the fact, you know, we've talked about the differentiation between how it was then and how it is now, and people can stream your stuff as to how do they stream.
So the stuff that we're doing now, you can just go on and find it on Spotify and those kind of whatever they're called. I don't understand because I don't download that much music.
Here's the, you know, number one. Here is that I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm sure you do and all. What I want to talk about now, because you're still doing touring.
Very much brackets touring, yeah.
Touring, you say, we're not doing like that. But no, in my case, whatever it is, if people are still going out and doing performance.
Yeah.
You know, and you may have a space between 1 week and a month or whatever. If you're going to somewhere else, it's almost like a tour, isn't it?
It's very casual touring, I would say. Kind of relaxed touring.
How many loincloths do you use?
The loincloths are now in a retirement home.
We know it is, yes. I'd like to know
yes.
how they're getting on.
They're very comfortable and they're being looked after very, very well. Yeah, they're on.
Old chamois leather.
They're on. All the best drugs are given to the loincloths.
Available.
Yeah.
So they can get all that stuff and all that, and you had that last one out. You've got a new one coming out. Is that completed yet?
So we're kind of midway. We've finished about 7 tracks on this album, and we've been very, very lucky because Mike Reed's been really supportive. So we've had 3 Heritage Chart #1s, and which is amazing because people vote for it online. Because you just go heritagechart.com and vote for it, and the support has been
heritagechart.com. And that's through Talking Pictures, isn't it?
Yeah. So
renowned
and it's Mike Reed's kind of whole invention. He's been brilliantly supportive to us, and we've had, it's been lovely. The success that is partly due to him, and we thank him for that. So those are the first singles, and then the album will come out probably end of the summer. So we've finished 7 tracks. We've got 10, so we've got 3 more to do. So we're almost there.
And these are new ones.
These are all new
they're
material.
Not covers or anything.
No, there's no
Will
covers
the lion
at all.
turn up again?
No, the lion's
You've
been
done the
done
lion.
to death. It's not on this album. So
He's now retired to MGM.
Yeah. Now in a lion retirement home. Bless. So thankfully,
With the champagne.
not to be seen. So yes, it's all brand new material, and it's kind of a poppy kind of dance music, kind of which is what we've always.
But the one thing, you know, we're the same age. We discussed this already. I mean, look at him. Doesn't it make you sick?
The wine.
My husband's, into all this business and all that, and you were much thinner in those days, weren't you?
Yeah, I think everyone was
and-
thinner back in those days.
Yeah.
But I lost, when I was ill in the 90s, I lost lots of weight. So the only way now for me to put on weight is to go to the gym, because it doesn't happen otherwise.
I mean, you can't see it here, but the veins sticking out on it. I've got all this black on me. It's not me, it's the sofa, by the way, I like to point out. I haven't come out with the
It
pot.
has seen better days.
I haven't come out with the pox, and it's not my bogies either. I was sitting there going, what the bloody hell is this? No, all those veins and all that, I couldn't do it because I have sciatica and piriformis syndrome and all that. So I'm very bad on the pins.
Yeah.
And the awful thing is, I'd love to have been in a situation where I enjoyed sport and keeping fit. But touch wood, I used to be 16.5 stone.
Wow, that's
with,
quite a lot.
with a belly out here.
Quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, like a vanity shell.
Yeah.
So you can put your food down there and just shovel it in. And people say, but you drink a lot too, but the drink isn't the problem. It is, all the wrong things you eat and all that, lack of exercise.
Yeah.
My husband does it all the time.
Yeah, I think for me, because I used to be a dancer, and I'm going to dance class every day, and then when that stopped, going to the gym kind of replaced.
How many times do you go to a gym these days?
Probably 5 times a week, something like that. So, so I'm quite
5 times. When was the last time you went to a gym?
Never.
But I'm quite. I get very obsessive about things. If I'm into something, I'm really into it.
And then
So that's why. And like I said, if I don't go to the gym, it kind of affects my mental health as well. It's a really important thing for me, because mental health for me has always been an issue of things like depression and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So going to the gym is a big part of keeping myself well, basically. So that's why I enjoy it, and I feel better for doing it. But it does take it just takes a bit longer at my age. So that's the only.
You're built like a brick shithouse. You see, I have boobs, but mine tends to slip into my waistband.
Do you dance yours?
Look, can you do that to camera? Look. Look, can you see? Can you just have a focus? Look, get your hands down.
There you go.
You see,
it's
if
63.
I did that, I'd end up probably having a conniption. No, I admire people can do. My husband can't do that, but he's got a nice pair of titties too.
See, no shame. At this age, you get to 63 and you think, oh, what the hell? No shame.
But no, it's what people love. It's what interests them in what they do. Hence, the show is the fact that you can pass on your interests and needs and wants and all that, and if it helps somebody else out, you know,
Yeah.
you then say, you know, you come away from it and you say, oh, that was a nice thing.
I think for me, you know, being this age, I would, you know, when you were 21, you would think, wow, 63, that's so old. That's incredibly old. But
Say that on a daily basis.
but when you get to that age, you really have to look at you know, your health from top to toe, because it's not just about your physical health, it's very much about your mental health for me as well, like I said to you before. And you know, I have suffered from depression in my life at various times in my life, and it's about finding a way of dealing with that. And making sure that doesn't overtake everything else in your life.
Because it can affect other people as well if you're going in that situation, or you're down or whatever.
Exactly. So just being on a downer, you know, is not good for you. It's not being good. It's good for you, but it's not good for other people around you as well. So, and I don't like to take medication for those kind of things. I take enough medication anyway for all my other stuff. So I take lots of pills, but I don't want to take antidepressants. So for me,
they're a big mistake,
going to the gym is my form of medication for antidepressants.
Well, well, you're self-medicating. Because it makes your metabolism feel better. You eat well, obviously.
Yeah, I'm vegetarian. Although but I have bought some meat for you today, so you'll be fine.
He's bought sausage roll. Mind you, the Greg's vegan ones are very good.
They are good, very good. Yeah,
I actually went down that avenue because I do, and the one thing is my favourite in life is burgers.
There you go.
And we did a show, didn't we, with the lovely Danielle, and she has a problem with anything round. Like windows and all that.
Okay.
Isn't she? Said that on that one of the first shows we ever did. And I couldn't understand that at all. And she was going on about, you must try a beetroot burger. And I thought, I love beetroot.
Oh yeah, no, I've had that. It's really nice.
These plant things.
Yeah. It's really nice.
And I love gazpacho and stuff like that. But I tried it for 4 months, Stephen.
Yeah.
I was bored shitless.
You know, the one thing, I did try vegan for a while. I can't even say it, veganuary, but it lasted literally 3 weeks. I had a pizza that tasted a bit like cardboard, and the one thing I really missed was the cheese, because vegan cheese is, I haven't come across one that can really replace proper cheese, so I ended up giving up the vegan.
I love things like Stilton. I'm quite a strong. I'm diabetic, as you know. But the fact is, you know, the one that recently had to go onto insulin. He was, you poor thing, fuck off. You know, it's a wee injection like that in the tummy, no problem at all. Smells a bit weird, insulin, but that's another story.
Okay.
We won't be putting under your armpits, put it that way.
Okay.
And the fact is, the one thing I'm missing these days, and I'm being very good about it, is cake. I love cake. But diabetics do. Touch wood, I actually have a more savoury tooth than it is to a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
But for some unknown reason, diabetics, you suddenly get this, I don't know, fancy a box of Thorntons with all that.
Yeah.
And if I had them, it'd be one after the other.
See, that's the thing. Easter, I used to go into Sainsbury's around the corner and after Easter, buy all the knockdowns. So come home with 10 after they've been knocked down the day after Easter's finished.
And they'll be finished in 48 hours.
Yeah, they'll be pound. But those days are gone now. But love chocolate.
Well, it's a very sensual thing, chocolate as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it involves all that stuff.
All the senses.
All that, that sort of melt in your mouth business and all that. And I look at people. My husband took me out the other night. Don't laugh. Normally it's because he's Costa Rican, it's like the flag of all nations. We actually went out on a date, Stephen.
Wow.
Just him and me.
How lovely.
To a lovely Persian restaurant we go to. Must take you there, it's fantastic. They do veggie too. Beautiful stuff and all that. To my one plateful, he had 3. But she gave us a little thing, a lovely lady there, their own homemade carrot cake.
Wow. Nice.
And That's gorgeous. And it was literally a block which is an inch by an inch by an inch and
yeah.
all that. So it was a cube and all of that.
Uh-huh.
Luckily, my husband didn't want his, so I had two.
Ah, that was a result.
When I tested my blood sugar level, hadn't affected me at all.
Wow, very good. Must have been a very healthy one.
Well, beautiful, beautiful. But that's it. You know, if you eat, you know, I mean, you do all your exercises and work like that and all of that. But if you eat healthfully,
Yeah, definitely. I try and eat healthily, but you know, you have to let yourself go now and then. You have to have a day off now and then.
What do you, when you let yourself go, apart from drinking too early, when you let yourself go, what is your favourite to let yourself go at?
My favourite thing, you know what I really, really like? Mashed potato with cheese and olive oil and just something like something very, very cheap, like a cheese pasty or something. I'm not.
Nothing wrong with a cheese
I'm not a gourmet eater. I'm a very simple eater, but I love mashed potato. It's probably my favourite food.
Well, strange you should say that, my darling friend. My husband, having been brought up for 14 years in America, loves mashed potato.
It's the best food ever.
And I do love, because if I hadn't been, I've said this on many shows, sorry if I'm repeating myself, if I hadn't been an actor, I would have been a chef. And my father opened a restaurant. Then I found, in Mallorca, then I found out what was involved. And I didn't want, and I've said it many times before, I did not want my hobby to become a chore. And people still ask me these days, oh, would you come around and cook for us?
Wow. You get on with Julie. She's a qualified chef as well. One of the girls in the group, and she is an amazing cook. We always go around there for a meal and rehearse at her house because she cooks for us.
She's got it all sorted and all that.
Rehearsal, then cook, and have a amazing meal because she just makes the most beautiful.
Is she vegetarian?
She is vegetarian. Yeah, she absolutely is. But she will cook both.
Is your husband?
My husband's vegetarian. Denise isn't vegetarian, so Denise might have something with meat in it, but she'll make vegetarian for all of us, and Denise will have something with a little bit of meat in it.
Well, I don't mind. I mean, when I went out the other day with my hubby, we went to that Persian restaurant. They do a platter to start with. I mean, that's enough. Anyway, because the plates are the size of dustbin lids. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they do beautiful homemade hummus, babak ganoush, all this other stuff. I'm sitting there, you know, toasted halloumi and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there with those big flatbreads, but they make themselves all that fresh out of the tandoor, or whatever they call that machine. And you're sitting there and you're eating that, and then this great big plate turns up with all your stuff. So I took half of mine home. Right, then here we are back, but it's great. Just want to sort out situations to do with this sofa.
It's definitely seen better days.
Well, I've been sitting here doing all this intense conversation, Mr. Grant and all that, doing that. I put my head, and then I'm covered in it.
Bits of sofa are coming off.
Apparently, Steve, is this going to the dump?
It is going to the dump. I might give it to you to take on the way out if you could drop it off for me.
No, you've really taken the piss, isn't he? Yes, absolutely. Something a lot of people don't know, my darling friend, and we've had a good little bit of lunch and all of that.
Yeah.
In 1996, something happened to you.
Well, yeah, it was kind of I had a partner for 8 years. We were together in
love, I know.
In very much in love, and he passed away in '94 from HIV/AIDS. And I looked after him during that period because he was from Brazil, didn't have any family here. We in fact were more close during that period, I think, than we'd ever been before that time. And then 6 months after he passed away, I became ill, and so I had 2 years of I was in and out of hospital during that period because I developed full-blown AIDS as well, and had lots of bouts of pneumonia and various other opportunistic infections, and that's how I lost my sight from something called CMV retinitis. So I lost the sight in my right eye, and I have a tiny bit of sight in my left
You've got
eye.
nothing in your right eye at all.
In this eye, and
That's blind totally, but you've got like a tunnel.
a little bit in the centre of my left eye.
Which you're probably looking at me or saying is a thank fuck for that.
So everyone looks 21, which is one of the benefits.
Well, I haven't got that problem, but he used to look 21 times. So he died, and of course you came into the situation where
Yeah.
people always, the strength of people, and I was involved with people with HIV or HDLB3 as it was called back in the day, and AIDS as it was back in the day, long before, as Quentin Chris once said, there's only a fad, and it's only a fad, and it's fashionable.
Yeah.
Which was a stupid thing to say.
Yeah, a very stupid thing.
Stupid thing to say is the fact that I have lost many people over those years.
Yeah. We all lost so many people, a whole generation of people.
And not just show business, but just ordinary,
lots of friends, and we went to lots and lots of funerals during that period.
That's why I don't go to funerals these days.
Yeah. It was one of the most challenging times to have lived through that and come out the
And
other
certainly in
side.
your 20s and your 30s and all that.
My
But you weren't actually confirmed in that situation until you were in your 30s.
Yeah, and I had, like I said, I got ill in '94, so I kind of knew because my partner had already passed away at that point, so it wasn't any surprise when I developed pneumonia and was in hospital. Although obviously it was still quite a shock to become ill. But I was lucky. I had the same doctor that had looked after my partner, and after 2 years of being ill, I probably weighed about 8.5 stone, and I was spending a lot of time. I was basically bedridden. I didn't leave the house or was in respite, and so I luckily got my doctor got me onto drugs before they were available, the combination therapy, before they become available to the masses, because there was a program called it was called named patient basis for people who were in desperate need. So I got the drugs early, and that's what.
And there was nothing to do with the fact of you being on the telly or anything like that?
No, I was in Miss Saigon at the time, and I had incredible support from all the people in the show who were amazing, and there's like family now, and Cameron McIntosh, who was really, really supportive, and gave me as much time off as I needed to, no questions asked. I said I needed to leave the show because I wasn't physically able to do it anymore, and the company said no, you just go away, take as much time as you need. We'll employ somebody else to do your show, and just come back whenever you are able to, if you're able to. So I took a year off, but Cameron McIntosh paid me during that whole year, which was amazing.
The whole year?
Yeah. They paid me for my normal show. I had that incredible support from him and from the cast who used to come and visit me here at home, and it was amazing that I had that. I was lucky. I was in a job and in the kind of environment that was very supportive, whereas a lot of people didn't have that at that during that time. But for me, it was. I think that's what got me through it, because I had that support network around me of friends and family, and my boss at work, who was Cameron McIntosh, who was amazing, absolutely amazing.
But when I was a casting, I think I mentioned this to you, a casting director and agent, when was the location to phone up Cameron's office occasionally, strangely enough, he would answer the phone and call me sir, which I always thought was hilarious. And I said, "No, you're the sir, I'm not, I'm just the old queen," and all, but a great man. He understood, and I think his point was, in Constance, in that very bad situation, a lot of people, performers, just not men, also ladies too, was there to actually emulate and give an idea that there's always another light at the end of the tunnel. Version of things.
Yeah, and I think if you have that kind of support network around you, it makes such a difference. If you don't have that, you feel very, very isolated, and not. I was in the kind of very, very lucky position of having that incredible support network.
Well, that isolation, of course, is you being on your own with no one there to talk to. And in those days, people didn't really understand what AIDS and HIV.
And I had a buddy from Terence Higgins Trust as well, which was amazing. Somebody who I didn't know who just came into my life and helped me, and was very.
Do you still know that person?
I'm kind of in touch with him, but I haven't seen him for a long time. But he was amazing. A guy called John, who was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I feel very, very fortunate that I had that going on.
It's an awful thing, though, my darling friend. Through all the situation you've been having, stuff of great success and all that. That you lost your sight and all that, and you were HIV and all that business. But at the end of the day, I have to be honest, I admire you intensely. The fact you came out of it.
That's the
point.
That's the whole point.
And I'm sitting there with people at fucking home, you bastards, sitting there. Oh yeah, I should have won the lottery. Sod off. The point is that people can go through all that trauma. All that situation.
Yeah.
And when people these days, I've said on several programs previous, haven't I, Stephen? Where people say, I've got mental health problems. They don't know the fucking half of what a mental health problem is.
Well, I like I said, I feel very fortunate. I've got brilliant friends, but yeah, coming out of that was and being here today, like doing this with you. Everything is an absolute bonus from that day on, from getting better. We
just had a bit of lunch, and my director, who I love, not in that way, and I were just sitting there. We were discussing over sausage rolls and quiche, nice bit of coleslaw, and all that. And I said, "Well, do you mind talking about that?" And you were the first person to say, "Of course." And of course, the fact is, if you don't talk about it, who the fuck is going to know about it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. And also for me, talking about it, it's not just for myself, it's for the stigma that still surrounds the issue of HIV and AIDS. So it's important to talk about it and just treat it normally as you would with any illness.
Well, I'm diabetic, as you know. I mean, my mother had cancer, and she took 4 pills a day. And of course, being diabetic and all that, back in the day, they take 11. I'm now down at 3, and of course, insulin. They used to laugh and joke and say, I'm like a baby's rattle in a high wind. How many pills do you take a day?
Well, my combination therapy has changed so much. It used to be a whole number of pills. Lots and lots of pills every day, but now it's amazing. It's just how many pills is it? 2 pills once a day, and that's it. So, it's just...
A lot of people turn around and say, Stephen, like having a headache then, isn't it?
Yeah,
which is not like that at all, because it's here as well.
But it's amazing, how much things have moved on since those days, and the original days of combination therapy, and how it's evolved, and how much the side effects are less now than they were back then. And I'm just grateful that I got ill at a time when drugs were coming along, because if it had been a few years earlier, things would have been very different. So I'm just lucky. It's just the luck of the draw that I managed to get through that. So I'm grateful, very grateful. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Steve, we're also grateful too. I want to thank you very much indeed for putting up with me. You can fuck
You
off.
and the
as well.
lovely Stephen as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, honestly, I must say that Steve and I have done many of these, as you know, and I'm going to actually preempt something that a lot of people could have said in the future. I think it's one of the best. The fact is, when people have something to say and something more interesting than just talking about them, because of the NIMBY situation, all that shit, when something really happens in one's life, the point of doing something is to tell people about it so they understand and realise it immediately. Because we're not here forever, and if we are here for a little bit more time, we've got to bloody well enjoy it.
Exactly.
So on that note, have you got a last word into your camera?
I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to do this. It's been lovely seeing you again after 2 years. It's been amazing. So thank you guys for inviting me. It's been lovely.
Thank you, Stephen. And I'm still looking forward to seeing the loincloth. Cheers.
Cheers.